When most people think of Dota 2, they think more about the heroes, the different characters you play as and try out. But then, what about the items? Oh sure, the hero is important. It's very important to find the right hero, the hero that suits your playstyle. But let's not forget, the items make a difference too. You have to pick the right items, items that make up for a hero's weakness, or give him abilities he wouldn't normally have. For example, if your hero doesn't have much mobility, you give him something that helps him get around the map. What I'm trying to say here is that the items in Dota 2 are just as important as the heroes. Hello there everyone, my name is Turkey, and welcome to my second top video. However, this is a top 5 rather than a top 10. The reason being, I wanted to narrow it down a bit more. It does also mean less clips to record, so hey, it's a win-win all around. I'd like to quickly mention that I have played a bit of multiplayer before. I am level 15 on Dota 2 at the moment, but obviously I haven't got that much experience, not as much as most people. I haven't played online in a while, mostly due to me not really wanting to deal with random groups. So most of my recent experience has been from offline games. If you have a problem with this, then I do apologise. I realise Dota 2 is a multiplayer game, but unfortunately offline games is just what I enjoy at the moment, so I hope you understand. Okay, well, enough on that. Let's get down to it, shall we? The first item on this list is the Refresher Orb. What this does is it simply resets the cooldowns on all items, but they have to be in your inventory, and it resets the cooldown on all spells, and this does include ultimate abilities, which are known to have quite a long cooldown. Now I know what you're thinking. This sounds like a really powerful item. So why is it only at number 5? To be honest, I'm a bit conflicted about this item. On the one hand, it feels a bit unfair, and I do wonder if it really should be in the game. The whole purpose of cooldowns is so that you can't spam your strongest abilities and abuse them. That's always the case. In any game, that is why an ability will have a cooldown. It seems a bit cheap to be able to go, well, I have an item that completely overwrites that and allows me to use it again. It makes certain ultimate abilities a lot more powerful than they should be. I mean, the whole point of having these really powerful abilities is you should have to consider when the best time to use them is. This takes away from that a bit. But on the other hand, it's a pretty fun item to use, and I can't deny that I love using it on certain characters, and it has made certain matches a lot more interesting than they should be. Another way the item is probably not as unbalanced as I'm thinking, it is pretty expensive. So to be fair, you're not going to get this until the end of the game. It does require you to buy some pretty expensive items, and the recipe itself is quite a lot if I remember correctly. So you're not going to be able to use this until the end of the game, and by then that's when you're really going to need it, because all the heroes are going to be pretty powerful. This item is great though, because it can be used to turn the tide, and it can be used to turn a very bad situation completely around. On a side note, it does also provide some passive bonuses, such as plus 200% mana regen, plus 5 HP regeneration, plus 40 damage, plus 6 intelligence, and plus 10 attack speed. These are bonuses that any hero could probably benefit from. It's just an overall buff, I would say. The next item on this list is the Force Staff. It's usually a recommended item for support or intelligence heroes, since it does give bonus intelligence and extra HP regeneration, but anyone can take advantage of the activated skill. What this does, when you actually use it on a target, it pushes them a certain distance, I think it's 600 units, in the direction it is facing. In fact, look at the description for the item. Allows you to manipulate others, for good or evil. This is incredibly true. Like, so true it hurts. The thing I like about this item is it's pretty flexible. It can be used in plenty of different ways, I mean. You could use it more offensively to push yourself closer to an enemy so you can catch them. You could use it more defensively to escape from dangerous situations, and that's just covering what happens if you use it on yourself. The staff can be used on anyone. You could use it on an ally to help them with their mobility, to help them escape, for example, or you could even use it on an enemy hero to push them towards your team, putting them in some kind of perfect gank position. It's a decent item that I think a lot of heroes can benefit from, especially if the support hero knows how to use it correctly, or if you have a hero that really needs that extra mobility, that extra push. Next we have the Urn of Shadows. Oh, I like this item. What it basically does is it can heal friendly targets over time, or when used on an enemy, deals pure damage over time. It's a bit like using Warlock's ability, the one that does damage over time. It's meant to be more of an early game item, and mostly used again by support heroes, but it can be used by gankers as well, or early game gankers. In the description, it's actually said to contain the ashes of fallen demons, which sounds like my kind of item, to be honest. The thing I do like about the Urn of Shadows is it's quite flexible. It can be used to help allies or hinder enemies, and as a bonus it does give some strength and mana regeneration as well, which at the start of the game you do need for certain heroes. There is more of a negative side to this item though. As powerful as it is, it does require charges so you can keep using it. The charges can only be obtained when you're in the vicinity of enemy heroes, when they die. This means that in order for this item to be useful, you need to be using it to get kills. If you're not getting kills, or if you're not in the area of someone that's killing enemy heroes, well, you're not getting any use out of this item, really. Not to mention that by the end of the game, the item becomes less useful. The usefulness diminishes just because the damage it does is a set number, at least as far as I remember. Out of all the items that you have to activate, this is probably one of the first I took an interest in when I first started playing multiplayer, since I originally played quite a lot of support heroes. And I'm quite fond of it just because of this. I do remember all the times I used to use it, and even now I try and make use of it with any heroes it's recommended for. I also used to originally use it more as a healing item to keep people alive, however I think it might be better when you use it offensively to kill enemies. But no matter how you use it, it's a great item, and one I would highly recommend trying if you haven't already. At number 2, and very high on the list, we have the Blink Dagger. Oh, now this is a popular item, and I know a lot of people do enjoy using this. In any game where you can teleport or blink, I consider it to be one of the most useful abilities available. Since it obviously allows unmatched mobility, you could easily use it to close in on enemies or perhaps avoid tough fights altogether, and this is definitely the case in Dota 2 as well. The Blink Dagger allows you to teleport up to 1,200 units away, twice the distance that should be covered by using a Force Staff. However, if you take any damage from an enemy hero, then the Blink Dagger cannot be used for 3 seconds, and the cooldown can be constantly reset by additional damage. This means that it isn't really an escape item. Unlike the Force Staff where you can easily use it to get away no matter the circumstance, with the Blink Dagger chances are you won't be able to use it to escape. This means you have to really use it offensively. You have to use it to either initiate a teamfight or to chase down a fleeing hero, and when you do use it for this, it really shows how useful it is. And even though it isn't meant to be used for escaping, if you're good enough you can still pull it off. All that it requires is that you don't take damage in the last 3 seconds. If you can avoid people for long enough, then you could still use it to teleport out of there to guarantee you get away. And when it does work, it is pretty satisfying to teleport away from the enemy and leave them scratching their heads in confusion. So yes, the Blink Dagger is one of my favourite items on Dota, simply because it gives any hero the ability to teleport, and may give certain heroes the mobility they desperately need, sometimes more so than the Force Staff does by itself. Now we're getting to the end of the video, but before I reveal my number 1 favourite item on Dota 2, I would like to give an honorary mention to another great item in this game. The Tango. Yes, I'm serious, the Tango. It's good. It keeps you healed at the start of the game, it keeps you in the lane, allows you to get more experience. Hey, you can even share it with people. So you can give people tangos, you can keep your lane partner alive. I always buy them, I always use them. Well, the important thing is I like them. Anyway, let's get to the end of the list, shall we? Yes, the Scepter is probably one of the most common items I used to go for in multiplayer, and probably still do to this day, as long as the hero in question can actually make good use of it. In my opinion, This is actually the most interesting item in the game, due to the fact that it can change how a certain hero plays, or make them better at the role they're meant to fulfill. I mean, look at the description for example. It's apparently the Scepter of a wizard with demigod-like powers. You know from that alone that it's meant to be quite powerful. But what does it do, you may wonder? Well, the main purpose of the Scepter is that it basically improves your ultimate ability, whether it's reducing the cooldown, increasing damage, adding an additional effect, or maybe all of the above. Making your ultimate ability more powerful and accessible is not something to underestimate, and may be the key to winning a game, but the most interesting aspect of this item is how it can actually have a different effect, depending on the hero who acquires it. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire list. There is a page on the Dota 2 wiki specifically for that, so you can always look on there if you're curious, but I will note some of my favourite effects that I've personally experienced. Meepo, for example, has an ultimate that allows him to get additional clones, permanent clones I might add, but when he gets the Scepter, it adds another one on top of what he already has, making his maximum number of clones up to 4, while also granting 100% shared attribute percentage. When Tiny gets the Scepter, he equips a large tree, which increases his attack range, damage versus buildings, and even gives him a cleave attack. Ogre Magi unlocks a new spell, Unrefined Fire Blast, which seems to be a more powerful version of the regular Fire Blast spell he starts with, meaning he can potentially chain them together to disable a target for even longer. And my personal favourite, Warlock, gets 2 golems when he uses his ultimate, Chaotic Offering, as long as he has the Scepter obviously. This means twice the amount of area damage taken from their Immolation aura, twice the chance for someone to get hit by their Flaming Fist attack, and even more reason to run back to the base until their duration runs out. Keep in mind that this can be combined with the Refresher Orb, so you can have up to 4 golems at once, which is ridiculous. And I love it. But hopefully by now you can see why I enjoy using the Scepter so much. Ultimate abilities mean you have access to a powerful game-changing ability, which makes them fun to use. That's the reason why they're so enjoyable. But the Scepter just enhances that experience, and can make you appreciate certain heroes and abilities even more than I'm sure you already do. Well, that pretty much sums up my favourite items on Dota 2. Hopefully this gives you an idea on what sort of heroes I play, what sort of role I normally have to participate in. But what about you guys? What is your favourite item on Dota 2? Feel free to tell me in the comments, don't forget to subscribe, and stay tuned for more from Lagmasters. Thank you for watching.